What is your favorite food? When we're asked this question, it's impossible to only have one answer. If you say pizza, it's most likely followed by a burger, pasta, soda, and the list just goes on and on. But you gotta admit it, this tends to happen all the time. As we are born as natural, curious, and thrill-seeking creatures, when we see food appealing to our eyes, the only thing we want next is to devour everything in sight. Our minds organize our taste palette favorites and rank them from worst to delicious. Regardless of if it's healthy or not, we all have our own favorite, aka love at first sight. However, science says it's more than just taste, that there's a deeper reason we prefer some foods over others. Hi everyone, welcome to Food Mystic. Today, I'm going to talk about all the reasons why we're addicted to specific food. And we'll take a deep dive of fan favorites and why they're so freaking scrumptious. Now, if you find this video interesting, please go ahead and take a bite out of the like button, and more importantly, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Without further ado, let's get started. So, while everyone has their favorite, there has been scientific studies on exactly why. According to Michael Tordoff, a psychologist at the Monell Chemical Senses Center in Philadelphia, there are three main ways we learn how to like and dislike certain foods. First is flavor-nutrient learning, where we learn to form a positive association between a food and what it does to our body. For example, we loved munching on fruit-flavored candies because we learned to associate fruits with the burst of energy that comes from the sugar hit. Second is taste flavor learning, where we link a given flavor with the one we already like. For instance, coffee becomes more palatable to us if we add milk and sugar than just drinking it plain black. And finally, this one's a lifelong learning process, and this is called social learning. This is the idea that we simply like what our family and friends prefer. An example of this is learning to love pizza as your parents loved ordering it for dinner every Friday night. Basically, social learning is being influenced by people close to us and adopting their food preferences. A person's favorite food may vary depending on where they came from. However, there are 6 most common foods that always tend to show up in people's personal list. These are pizza, cheese, donuts, wine, spicy food, and coffee. No matter which country you come from, chances are at least one of these makes it to your list. Maybe it's also because these foods are ubiquitous now in today's modern society. You can easily spot these foods as almost all restaurants and fast food chains sell them. These can include Domino's Pizza to Papa John's, Krispy Kreme and Tim Hortons, and Starbucks and Dunkin coffee. As these brands are known all over the world, the presence of these 6 foods are easily felt, making it accessible to everyone. While topped flatbreads were already a thing in ancient Egypt, Rome, and Greece, the Italians are credited as the people who invented pizza first. It was first invented in Naples, Italy, and it was intended for working-class Neapolitans on the go as it's tasty, fast, and affordable. In 1889, King Umberto I and Queen Margherita visited Naples, and there they enjoyed their first slice of pizza. In 1994, the first pizza was ordered online. Now, Americans eat 350 slices of pizza per second, which is equivalent to roughly 30 million slices each day. Hence, it's no doubt that pizza is the top most liked food in the world. In a University of Michigan study published in the U.S. National Library of Medicine, pizza unsurprisingly came out on top of food that caused people to display addictive tendencies. Aside from its flavorful taste, how did this flattened bread dough with its various toppings become the most favored food in the world? The more glutamate it has, the more flavorful it will be. Glutamate is the most abundant excitatory neurotransmitter in your brain and central nervous system, which is critical for maintenance of ideal energy levels. Animal proteins like chicken and beef are usually high in glutamate, and these are also commonly found as pizza toppings along with the 2 basic foundations of pizza, cheese and tomatoes. These 2 foods are also packed with lots of glutamate. A typical slice of pizza may have about 3 tablespoons of tomato sauce, which is equal to 140 milligrams of glutamate. And a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese present in a slice can also provide about 75 milligrams of glutamate. As soon as we take the first bite of warm pizza crust, our taste buds are immediately stimulated by glutamate, which makes us hooked and keeps us wanting more. Of course, cheese deserves its own spot in this list. It is such a versatile food. It's best paired with pizza, burgers, pastas, French fries, chicken, you name it. Think of cheese as the perfect foodie partner, as it enhances meals to the next level of deliciousness. Furthermore, it can also be enjoyed by itself as well. There are no official records about who made the first cheese. However, according to an ancient legend, it was accidentally made by an Arabian merchant who put his milk supply into a pouch made from a sheep's stomach, as he set out on a day's journey across the desert. That night, he found out that the scorching heat in the desert caused the milk to separate into curd and whey. To satisfy his hunger, he tried the curd, cheese, and was surprised to know how delightful it tasted. This happened 1,000 years ago, but cheese only became really popular in the 16th century. And since then, cheese became a staple in our fridges, kitchen, and in our tummies. Cheese is high in saturated fat and sodium, and we all know that this equates to deliciousness. But scientists say that our cheese addiction may also be due to our genes. Scientists at the University of Cambridge concluded that people who suffer from an obesity-causing gene defect have a predisposition for high fatty foods, but less preference for high sugar foods. In addition, our brain's reward center, the nucleus accumbens, releases dopamine when we consume salty foods like cheese to encourage us to eat more of it. Dopamine is a type of monoamine neurotransmitter that makes our bodies become attracted to whatever produced it, including cheese. Hence, many people crave it, and why vegetarians have a hard time giving it up. Let's talk about our tasty sweet delights, donuts, next. In a roster of sweet treats and desserts, donuts are always part of the list. Donuts are deep-fried dough confectionery which are typically ring-shaped with a hole in the middle, topped with sweet sauces, sprinkles, and crushed biscuits and chocolates. Many of you may not know this, but donuts have a long European history, and its roots can even be attributed to Middle Eastern cuisine. In ancient Roman Greece, cooks would fry strips of pastry dough and coat them with honey or fish sauce. Pretty odd if you ask me. However, it was the Dutch and New Netherlands who introduced donuts to America as olie koeken, which means oil cakes or fried cakes. From being served as a savory food, donuts became more of a dessert. A study from Yale University shows that foods that combine both fats and carbohydrates, like donuts, trick us into thinking they have more nutrients than they do, which leads us to overeating. Donuts are highly processed foods that often contain carbs cooked in fat and coated with sugar, and these kinds of foods have stronger effects on our brain's reward system. Hence, this encourages us to overeat and choose to munch on junk food over healthier snacks. Always eat in moderation, and donuts are fine every once in a long while. Sometimes, the best way to wash down your meal back in the day wasn't water, but wine itself. Wine, or sometimes referred to as vino if you're feeling fancy, is often associated as the best beverage to drink during dinner, especially formal and romantic ones. In the early years of Europe, when there was no available potable water, wine had started to gain its popularity. Since then, it's been a part of the daily diet of the Europeans. And as the years go by, many countries have also been influenced to drinking wine. For instance, in 2014, the United States became the largest wine-consuming nation in the world, and its popularity has grown steadily every year since then. And our love for wine is not just because of the sweet and tangy taste, but the fact that it can trigger our 4 basic happiness hormones, which are dopamine, the happy hormone that sparks pleasurable sensations, serotonin, our body's feel-good hormone which helps in overcoming anxiety and depression, oxytocin, the love hormone which is responsible for feelings of love, empathy, and trust, and lastly, endorphins, which acts as a natural pain reliever and reduces emotional stress, keeping us more motivated to stay active. Now let's get to the hot and tasty zings that we sometimes crave, and that's spicy foods. Spicy food has been part of South American tradition for as long as 6,000 years ago, but it wasn't until Columbus arrived in 1492 that the spread of chili pepper became prevalent to Europe, Africa, and Asia. Its existence has truly elevated the whole dining experience for most people, especially in Thailand, Mexico, Malaysia, Korea, and Jamaica, which are considered as the top countries with the spiciest food. This also led to Americans being influenced to like spicy food. In a recent survey of US consumers ages 18 and older, 80% of them said that they now enjoy hot and spicy foods. Spice is actually not a flavor, but rather a sensation which comes from the chemical compound capsaicin, a substance that makes hot peppers hot. Capsaicin causes pain and triggers the body to think it's in danger. As our body's response, it releases endorphins as its way of trying to eliminate the threat it feels when you eat spicy food. Hence, this chemical release causes some people to associate eating hot foods with happiness, causing us to feel a high of sorts. Additionally, since our bodies feel that it's in danger, it will also release a survival hormone called adrenaline, which can give us a sense of heart-pounding excitement when we devour a fiery hot bowl of noodles. Therefore, for some people, eating spicy foods is a way to satisfy our thrill-seeking needs. In movies and in real life, coffee is always regarded as the symbol of a perfect morning routine, especially for working people and students. It was in the 1600s when coffee became the favored breakfast beverage, replacing wine and beer, but it wasn't really popular in America until the Boston Tea Party of 1773, when drinking tea became unpatriotic. Hence, it's the second most traded commodity in the world, and about 2.25 billion cups of coffee are consumed every day in the world. In America, about 150 million Americans drink coffee on a daily basis, which is about 50% of the entire US population. These numbers are not a joke, and clearly shows how coffee has become a vital part of our daily lives. But why does it seem that our day isn't complete without having a cup of joe? According to a Berkeley lab scientist, coffee intake is affected by a positive feedback loop between genetics and the environment. This is called the quantile-specific heritability, which can be linked with cholesterol levels and body weight. A Framingham study found out that between 36% and 58% of coffee intake is genetically determined, but the specific causative genes remain unknown. Additionally, just the aroma of coffee can reduce stress levels. A research study was conducted on sleep-deprived rats to know how their stress levels will react if they were just exposed to the smell of coffee. After smelling the coffee, the brain scans of the stressed rats showed changes in the brain that were protective to the effects of stress, which were not present in the brain scans of the stressed rats who did not smell the coffee. Plus, coffee contains antioxidants that help our body prevent or repair damages caused by stress and other factors. It's amazing to know that eating does not only revolve around our taste buds, but our minds also play a crucial role. However, although taste alone isn't the determining factor that influences our food preferences, we gotta admit that at the end of the day, it still is and will always remain the biggest factor. Overall, pizza, cheese, donuts, wine, spicy foods, and coffee all have one thing in common: they all make us happy. But this doesn't necessarily mean we can have as many as we want. We still need to be mindful of what we consume. As the saying goes, too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. What about you? Are these 6 foods part of your favorites? If not, we'd love to know your favorites in the comments below. Be sure to turn on all notifications by hitting that bell icon, as you'll see more food trivias like this. This is Food Mystic, your #1 source of interesting food chronicles. Until next time.